If you're waiting for an entry signal into a trade on TradeStation, watching every candle form, every tick move, eyes glued on the screen, stop. Just stop. You're wasting your time. You're wasting my time. You're wasting everybody's time. In this video, I'm going to show you a few ways that I like to set up alerts on TradeStation. This way, you can use your brain power for something more productive while you wait for the entry signal. This is going to be part of our TradeStation Tips series, which you can find in the playlist right here. So now let's jump over to TradeStation. Let me show you exactly how it works. So basically, let's go ahead and start off first by utilizing a horizontal line. We're going to snap a line on our chart, and then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you exactly how I set up the indicator, the line, to give me an alert and how you might want to avoid certain features inside of that setting. Let's go take a look. So as we're jumping into TradeStation here, I've got a chart up of Micron. It really doesn't matter who it is. I'm going to grab this horizontal line on the drawing tools. Right? I'm going to snap it on the screen. And let's say that the stock right now shows it's at 66.07, and I'm thinking at 66.5, I want to go ahead and set an alert to get out of that, and I want to set an alert at 66.5 that I can take an entry possibly on there. So first off, I can drag my line right to 66.5 if I want to, but I find it to be way too cumbersome. I snap a line wherever it lands, I right click on it, I format the horizontal line, and I go into settings, it's actually data, and double click on the price. I'll put in 66.50, hit enter twice, and it will move it. You can see the label on the left, 66.5. So now that the line is in place, I need to set up an alert off of that level. So we're going to right click on there, go right back into format horizontal line, and you've got settings, alerts. Oh, that sounds familiar. Style, labels, data. We're going to go to alerts. Now there's a lot of alerts features inside of here. TradeStation has a pretty good amount of things you can do with your alerts. So we're going to enable the alert first. Now you could go with breakout intra-bar. You could break out on the close or break out intra-bar. Right? So I normally leave it on breakout intra-bar. I don't want to wait for a close above that level. You may break out and be at 70 by the time you get your answer, right? By the time that bar forms. I don't want to do that. So I use it as a breakout on the intra-bar, right? Personally. Now, alert once per bar interval, alert continuously. This can be very unique, right? If this breaks out and you have continuous, as it's highlighted right now, and it stays above that 66.5 level, it will continue to beep until you shut it off, okay? Now, there may be a default feature that shuts after a certain period of time, but I don't want it to normally be continuous. I want to be alerted. Now, if you can't be sitting there, you're walking around the house, maybe you want that continuous on. All right? But if I'm doing that, I'm also cranking the volume up. I have external speakers on my computer system, my trading system, so I can hear it anywhere I'm in the house, and I can jet back to the office and make that adjustment or that trade where needed. So we could click alert once, and then we've got some other features in there. Use the following message center notifications. Now, you've got a global messaging center preference or custom. Right? There's nothing set for custom. I'm just going to use general. Right? Now, there are some configurations you can do in here. Right? You can have it as a beep. You can set a particular sound, right? Oh, we don't have any sound on there. Sorry. I have no speaker on this system. But cash register, ka-ching. I love that one, right? I just wouldn't want ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. Probably not a good one for constant, right? But I do like the sound. You can have a beep, whatever works for you, right? You could put voice to text, right? You'd have to import a file, I believe, to do that. Right, you have to configure that. All right, we'll leave it at beep. Interval pop-up window 15 seconds. You can configure that as well. Or you can just have it flash on the system's tray, on the sys tray. I don't like the sys tray because it's in the bottom right of my screen and I may not be looking at it. My system is 6 monitors. I only keep my main window with all of the icons at the bottom there. So that would be my center lower monitor of my, I got 3 on the bottom, the center lower one. If I'm looking at a different monitor, I may not see that flashing going on somewhere else, right? So I'm going to want to avoid that one at all set up there. Email, you could set an email address up in there to send it to. I did have to get TradeStation to help me with this. This was a little bit harder to do in 9.5, which is what we're using here. 10 has very similar features. It may be easier to set the email component up in 10. But I know they could do it in 9.5 because they did it for me, just not on this system. I did it at the one that's in my main office at home, okay? So once you've got that done, you can click OK. Now you can set these as default. The nice thing there is now my favorite settings are saved. I never have to go back to it and think about it again. It's done. Now, it doesn't prevent me from making changes to it in the future, but it's all done. Once we are through that, we click OK, and we're done. If it comes up and hits that 66.5 level, that line, we will be triggered to an alert, right? We'll get that pop up on the screen, and you would hear the sound if you have speakers on your computer, okay? So that's number one. Secondly, the next way I want to look at it is on indicators. Now, the one I use the most is moving averages. So let's focus on moving averages. Now, I have two primary moving averages on all of my charts, the 8 and 21 EMAs, exponential moving average. 8 on my chart here on TradeStation is pink, and the yellow is the 21. So if we go over to the 8 moving average, let's jump back on the charts here for TradeStation. Go over to the 8 moving average. I'm going to right-click on it, and guess what? I'm going to format the moving average. And what am I looking for? Oh, there's an alerts tab. Gee, does this look familiar? Enable when it's hit, right? Alert once per interval. Alert continuous, right? Once per bar, once, right? Use global messaging. All of this can be set up just like we saw on the previous, okay? You could set that as default. Do you want to change the default alerts? I'm not going to do it, but you could. First time you do it, if you like what you have, change it. You can always change it again later, right? And once this is done, we click OK, and that alert is now triggered, or set up, rather, not triggered, it's set up. So if the stock does pull back and hit that 8 moving average, just hit it intra-bar, it's going to trigger an alert, and we'll be notified that, hey, something just happened, do you want to take advantage of it? Now, another way you could take advantage on the moving averages, if you've got your defaults in place, and you'd want to do that first, if you right-click on the moving average, right, you see alert. Ah, look at that. I can disable it right from there. I don't have to go back into the entire rigmarole, right? Enable once and so forth. So you can do that right from here. And this type of menu on 10, there's a lot of the indicators pretty much have this type of indicators set up or alert set up for the indicator that you can take advantage of on 10, where in 9 and 9.5, you have it on some but not on all. So these methods can be used on almost every indicator. And that's how you make your trading routine just a little bit easier. Until next time, make it a profitable day. Stay focused on the quest to becoming a great trader. Keep crushing it, and remember, you're just one trade away. Go ahead and click here for another one of our great trainings.